One Direction had some of the biggest songs in the world, but what do you really know about the boys behind the band?
Harry Styles launched a massive solo career following his One Direction days with a legion of fans who follow his every move. Though his star burns bright, Styles still exudes the charm of a small-town English boy. How does he do it? After Harry Styles performed the still unreleased track, Medicine, live in May 2018, Billboard reported that Twitter users immediately called the song a bisexual anthem, claiming that the lyrics confirm the singer's sexuality. It's easy to see what all the fuss was about, what with lyrics like, "The boys and the girls are here, I mess around with him and I'm okay with it." Billboard also pointed out that it's difficult to discern the exact lyrics of the song since the audio is really rather warbly. Either way, openly gay figure skater Adam Rippon had this to say about the song.
I think he's just sort of like on a journey and he doesn't really care, and I hope that young kids can look to that and they can really, go on a journey.
In August 2019, Rolling Stone profiled Styles, writing that he likes to cultivate an aura of sexual ambiguity, as overt as the pink polish on his nails. On his first solo tour, he frequently waved the pride, bi, and trans flags. So why exactly did he do that? Styles explained to Rolling Stone, "I want to make people feel comfortable being whatever they want to be. I'm aware that as a white male, I don't go through the same things as a lot of the people that come to my shows. I can't claim that I know what it's like because I don't. So I'm not trying to say I understand what it's like, I'm just trying to make people feel included and seen." As of this writing, the star hasn't publicly defined his sexuality, telling The Sun in 2018, "I don't feel like it's something I've ever felt like I have to explain about myself."
So tell me a bit about you.
I work in a bakery.
At one point, Harry Styles was like every other struggling musician. Before Simon Cowell plucked the singer from the X Factor auditions, he indeed worked at a local bakery for 2 years.
We're going to the bakery that I used to work in. And I always kind of pop in when I go home.
According to The Mirror, Styles was 14 years old when he started working at W. Mandeville Bakery in his hometown of Holmes Chapel, England. The star made £6 an hour, which is approximately $7.80. He cleaned the back areas and counters, mopped the floors, and washed trays every Saturday. Though Styles presumably lives a cushy life these days, he apparently never complained about the hard work. In fact, it sounds like he was a star employee. According to Simon Wakefield, his former boss, he was the most polite member of the staff we've ever had. Customers really took a shine to him. The shop suddenly had an influx of girls when Harry worked here. Sometimes there would be 12 of them pouring in at one time. Considering how people react to him now, that's pretty much what we'd expect from the future cover boy. In his early years as a genuine celeb, Harry Styles slept on a tiny mattress in a suburban attic. Emmy-winning producer Ben Winston opened up to Rolling Stone about his friendship with Styles when One Direction was first getting off the ground. According to him, Styles basically turned into a house guest that wouldn't leave. The singer had recently moved out of his childhood home and purchased new digs near the Late Late Show with James Corden producer, but he had to wait 2 weeks before he could move in. Styles asked if he could crash with Winston, who happily obliged, but those 2 weeks suddenly turned into 20 months. As Winston told Rolling Stone, those 20 months were when they went from being on a reality show, The X Factor, to being the biggest selling artists in the world. That period of time, he was living with us in the most mundane suburban situation. Even when we went out for a meal, it's such a sweet family neighborhood, no one dreamed it was actually him. Harry Styles didn't just leave behind his bakery job when he made it big with One Direction, he also left behind his former band. According to the Manchester Evening News, Styles was the lead singer of a pop-punk band called, unfortunately enough, White Eskimo.
What sort of experience have you got music-wise?
I'm in a band. I sing in a band with my friends at school called White Eskimo.
Styles only lasted 7 months with that particular band, but the boys trekked on without him. As of the making of this video, they haven't sold over 50 million records like One Direction, but it looks like they're still playing shows. They also released a music video for the song Save Me in September 2019. Meanwhile, White Eskimo's former lead singer hosted and performed on Saturday Night Live in November 2019, but White Eskimo doesn't seem to be sweating it. Will Sweeney took over lead vocal duties after Styles left, and he told the Manchester Evening News that the band doesn't want to live in the shadow of the former boy bander. Trying to compare us to One Direction is like comparing us to Westlife or Metallica to Take That. We are completely different. We haven't been Simon Cowelled. How sassy. Harry Styles' mom might be the reason One Direction ever happened. In an interview with Rolling Stone, the singer admitted that he only ended up trying out for the X Factor because his mom suggested the idea after hearing him sing in the car. As he puts it, your mom tells you things to make you feel good, so you take it with a pinch of salt. Styles ultimately competed in the solo boys category, singing a rendition of Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely, much to Judge Louis Walsh's dismay.
Harry, for all the right reasons, I am going to say no, because I don't think you're ready.
Regardless, Simon Cowell saw something in the young singer and brought him back to be part of One Direction.
I made a decision, and I did this in about 10 minutes. Why don't we put these 5 boys into a group?
Is that how it happened? He just called you into a room?
I mean, you're not gonna say no.
And you'd all been cut, and then you were called back.
Exactly.
In an interview with CBS, Styles discussed the origins of One Direction's name. He and his fellow band members were tossing around different ideas, and he thought One Direction sounded good. Evidently, the name is rather random and doesn't seem to hold any greater meaning. Asked what the name was all about, Styles told CBS,
I honestly don't know. I suggested it, and everyone was like, yeah, we like that, and then it kind of stuck.
Harry Styles' solo project was a success from the start, and on both sides of the Atlantic. According to Forbes, his first self-titled, full-length solo album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and has since gone platinum. He's a Hot 100 regular when you factor in his work with One Direction. His first solo single, Sign of the Times, first hit the UK charts at #1. He's also behind several songs you've likely heard, but might not realize he wrote. In a 2014 MTV interview, Ariana Grande admitted that Styles penned her track A Little Bit of Your Heart after a chance encounter between the two artists at a recording studio. As she tells it, he went into the other room and they were writing for a while, and I remember when I heard it, I was like, wow, that's a really strong verse, that's really beautiful. And then the chorus, I was like crying, so it's great. Styles also partnered up with Meghan Trainor to write an acoustic love song called Someday Maybe. Trainor told BBC Radio 1 that she was surprised a 20-year-old dude like Styles could write lyrics that were, quote, poetic and mature. The song was ultimately given to Michael Bublé, who included it on his album Nobody But Me under the name Someday. Harry Styles reportedly has a passion for romantic comedies. In an interview with BBC Radio 1, the singer owned up to, or rather was called out for, absolutely loving Nicholas Sparks films. He told host Nick Grimshaw,
We kind of got into a routine of like, we would write, and then we'd have dinner, and then we'd watch countless amounts of romantic comedy.
He goes on to say, we'd watch anything that Nicholas Sparks has ever done. I always circle back to The Notebook.
You love The Notebook.
I don't like The Notebook that much.
You love The Notebook.
Okay, I love The Notebook.
You'll never not watch
a good
The Notebook.
movie.
Teenage fangirls catch a lot of heat, and Tumblr fanfiction doesn't really help their case. Nonetheless, Harry Styles seems to see something that the mainstream media doesn't. Teen girls, who made up a huge chunk of One Direction's fanbase, are the future, and they're every bit as cool as all the hipsters who go crazy over Arcade Fire. In fact, they're some of the most honest, genuine music fans out there. Styles told Rolling Stone in 2017, "Who's to say that young girls who like pop music, short for popular, right, have worse musical taste than a 30-year-old hipster guy? That's not up to you to say." He goes on to defend his fans, claiming that, "Young girls like the Beatles. You gonna tell me they're not serious? How can you say young girls don't get it? They're our future doctors, lawyers, mothers, presidents. They kind of keep the world going. Teenage girl fans, they don't lie. If they like you, they're there. They don't act too cool. They like you, and they tell you, which is sick. So, there." Harry Styles certainly channels Mick Jagger with some of his wardrobe choices. He even did a spot-on impression of the Rolling Stone star during a 2017 Saturday Night Live appearance.
Hello there, Steve. Lovely show. It's a bit of fun, innit?
But Styles' lifestyle couldn't be any more different. He's not, in fact, rolling fast like a Rolling Stone. Instead, he might actually be one of the most wholesome rock stars on the planet. In an interview with The Sun, Styles admitted that he never really drank or did drugs on tour, partly because he was hyper-focused on turning in a decent performance. He told the publication, "On the first couple of tours, it was so exciting as we'd have a drink and go to parties. But for me, the albums got higher, so they become harder to sing. So I knew if I didn't come off stage and go to bed, I wouldn't be able to sing the next night. Also, it's just not for me. I'd rather wake up with a clear head." This sentiment somewhat sets him apart from some of his former bandmates. According to the Daily Mail, Zayn Malik and Louis Tomlinson were caught on video smoking what appeared to be a joint. And on his solo single, Good Years, Malik even referenced the divisive tour life, singing, "Too much drugs and alcohol, what the hell were we fighting for?" Perhaps the reason Styles is so grounded has to do with his solid upbringing. In 2017, he told Rolling Stone, "I feel very lucky. I had a great family and always felt loved." That said, there were some truly trying times when Harry was growing up. His parents split up when the singer was 7 years old, and Styles reportedly teared up while discussing this chapter of his life with Rolling Stone. During the interview, he realized he'd forgotten the exact moment he was told his dad would be moving out of the house. Honestly, when you're that young, you can kind of block it out. I can't say that I remember the exact thing. I didn't realize that was the case until just now. Yeah, I was 7. It's one of those things. Feeling supported and loved by my parents never changed. To this day, Styles remains close to both of his parents. He even served as the best man when his mother remarried. From the loss of loved ones to his strained relationship with his father to the conspiracy theory that his son isn't real, the tragic real-life story of Louis Tomlinson should come with a complimentary box of Kleenex. Fans of Louis Tomlinson are probably well aware of the deep bond he had with his late mother, Joanna Deacon. Tragically, Deacon's time on Earth was cut short after she passed away from leukemia in December 2016 at the age of 43. Tomlinson first got the call about his mom's terminal diagnosis while attending a friend's wedding, a moment he described as super traumatic. He spoke about his mother during an interview on SiriusXM a month after her passing, saying, "It's not something that I feel 100% comfortable talking too much about, but just quickly, when I first found out the news, I kind of did want to throw the towel in. But it was my mom who said to me that I've just got to keep going. She told me very sternly that she wanted me to." Deacon died less than a year after the birth of Tomlinson's son, Freddie. The proud mom was also survived by Tomlinson's 6 siblings, including her then 2-year-old twins, Ernest and Doris. Louis Tomlinson's family suffered another horrible loss on March 13, 2019, when his 18-year-old sister Felicity passed away from a suspected heart attack. Felicity, a social media influencer and aspiring fashion designer, was pronounced dead by paramedics after she unexpectedly collapsed at her London apartment. The health emergency was reportedly shocking to Louis and his loved ones, as Felicity hadn't shown any warning signs and didn't have any history of heart trouble. 6 months after her passing, an inquest into her death revealed that she died of an accidental overdose. Following Felicity's untimely passing, a source told The Sun that the family was devastated. Louis was hit especially hard, and he canceled all of the promotional events for his new single, Two of Us. According to the source, "It's just the biggest tragedy, and everyone wants to be there for Louis, who is the leader of his family since the loss of his mother and always there for all his siblings." Two of Us is about the death of Louis's mother, which makes the timing of Felicity's death all the more tragic. Our hearts go out to the Tomlinson family as they heal from both of these losses.
It's that I know that in terms of emotionally, I've been taken to the nth degree, and I still managed to perform because that's what she wanted me to do.
Tomlinson was one proud papa when he welcomed his son Freddie into the world in January 2016. But his happiness took a complicated turn after Freddie's mother, Brianna Jungwirth, put a wrench in his visitation schedule. Jungwirth and Tomlinson were never a long-term couple, at least not publicly, and reportedly weren't together when Freddie was born. Things seemed to be okay between the new parents until Tomlinson's then-girlfriend, Danielle Campbell, stepped onto the scene in the summer of 2016. After Campbell and Tomlinson were spotted enjoying a day at the beach with Freddie, Jungwirth tweeted, "You will never be my baby son's mother." Campbell's presence is what reportedly sparked custody issues between Jungwirth and Tomlinson reportedly accused Jungwirth of being inconsistent with allowing him visitation of their son. Making matters even more dramatic is that Tomlinson reportedly believed that Jungwirth was withholding Freddie in a scheme to get more money. Considering that he bought her and Freddie a home worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, he didn't appreciate the alleged custody antics. Tomlinson filed for joint custody in June 2016, and since then it appears that the two managed to get on better terms as they celebrated Freddie's first birthday together.
Make sure he gets the British accent though, because that's
I'm trying. Yeah, it's tough though. It's tough.
Although it might be difficult to believe, some fans started a rumor that Tomlinson's son wasn't real. It all started with the theory that his relationship with Brianna Jungwirth was set up for publicity. Supposed evidence included that a Jungwirth fan account was created 2 days before the couple's first public outing. The date night was photographed by British newspaper The Sun, and the outlet was the first to announce Jungwirth's pregnancy in July 2015. Internet sleuths also brought up a moment that occurred at a June 2015 One Direction concert. In a moment that a few people interpreted as a bit of foreshadowing, Tomlinson threw a baby doll off of the stage while shouting, "It's not real." And that's just the tip of the conspiratorial iceberg. In an upsetting and decidedly real turn of events, the rumors caught up with Tomlinson in April 2016 while he was putting Freddie into his car seat. In a since-deleted video of the incident, a paparazzo can be heard telling the dad, "Hey mate, it's good to see your baby's real, man." It was a remark that didn't go over too well as Tomlinson shot back, "Have a bit of respect for the baby." While some conspiracy theories are harmless, others can actually hurt innocent people, as this incident proved.
It's laughable.
Nonsense.
Absolutely laughable.
Nonsense.
One Direction fans have a knack for creating conspiracy theories. In addition to the fake baby scandal, some fans speculated that Tomlinson was in a secret relationship with his former bandmate, Harry Styles. Not only did these fans give them the nickname Larry Stylinson, they also created YouTube videos depicting supposed evidence of their relationship. Others wrote fan fiction and created fan art that depicted the two in romantic scenarios. While it's common for fans to ship celebrities together, this rumor was different because it made assumptions about Tomlinson's orientation. The stress of the situation eventually took a toll on his friendship with Styles, a sad reality he touched on in a July 2017 interview with The Sun, in which he said, "I'm so protective over things like that, about the people I love, so it created this atmosphere between the two of us where everyone was looking into everything we did." Former 1D member Zayn Malik also addressed the situation in an interview with Fader, stating, "It's not funny and it still continues to be quite hard for them. They won't naturally go put their arm around each other because they're conscious of this thing that's going on, which is not even true." Tomlinson has struggled with painful bouts of self-doubt throughout the years, especially where it concerns his involvement in One Direction. The singer felt like he didn't have the it factor his bandmates enjoyed, a sentiment he elaborated on in a June 2017 interview with The Guardian. He praised Niall Horan as lovely and fearless, Liam Payne as having good stage presence, Harry Styles as being very cool, and Zayn Malik as having a fantastic voice. Then he ended his gushy tribute by saying, quote, "And then there's me." It sounds like Tomlinson could use a reality check because he's definitely talented and beloved by many. Sadly, Tomlinson's insecurity followed him into his solo career. He told The Guardian, "If you'd asked me a year or 18 months ago, are you going to do anything as a solo artist? I'd have said absolutely not." He added, "I couldn't say to you now that I could definitely get a superstar writer in a session with me, and I understand that. Harry won't struggle with any of that." Despite Tomlinson's fears, his solo singles have performed pretty well on the Billboard charts. Although Tomlinson maintained a strong relationship with his mom until her death, the same cannot be said for his biological father, Troy Austin. Tomlinson's mother and Austin divorced when their son was very young, with the future star eventually adopting the last name of his stepfather, Mark Tomlinson. In March 2013, Austin gave an in-depth interview to The Mirror about his strained relationship with his son. He expressed regret about their falling out and spoke about his efforts to reconnect. He shared, "Seeing what he's done with his life makes me so happy. I know people will think I'm only interested in being part of his life again because he's rich and famous, but it's not about that." Louis apparently wasn't very happy with Austin's public move. The same day that the interview went live, he tweeted, "I'd like to start off the day by saying a big you to The Mirror." 2 years later, Austin reportedly planned to drop a bombshell about Tomlinson's life. A source told The Mirror he sees it as his final shot at getting Louis' attention, and he's said he will drop the bombshell if he feels it's the only option he's got left, even though it would come as a massive shock. He knows it could cause another big rift within the family, but is starting to feel he has nothing left to lose. In response, Tomlinson's stepdad tweeted, "Blackmail? Stupid man. Got a good mind to pay you a visit." After Tomlinson's mother passed away, he received more bad news when his biological father was diagnosed with liver cancer in May 2018. Troy Austin blamed drinking and smoking for his illness. He also painted a picture of how dark his life had become before the diagnosis, telling The Sun, "Some days I wouldn't eat at all but would just drink and smoke. I would drink to celebrate the good times and drink to cope with the bad. Whatever life threw at me, I would drink. And there was stress. The stress of my mum dying in March last year, and my dog Oki died 5 days before Christmas." Luckily for Austin, doctors at Northern General Hospital in Sheffield, England were able to remove the cancerous tumor following a 4-hour surgery. Tomlinson didn't speak publicly about his estranged father's surgery, but it's not hard to imagine that it brought up bad memories for him. Despite Tomlinson's silence, Austin expressed hope for a reunion, telling The Sun, "As for Louis, if he ever wanted to make contact, then I would be happy for that to happen." When you're a member of a mega popular boy band, it can be easy for resentment to build up between you and your bandmates. Louis Tomlinson and Zayn Malik are no exception to this rule, as they've been on the outs ever since Malik left the group in 2015 for private time. The bad blood first surfaced when Malik skipped Tomlinson's first performance following the 2016 death of his mother. Tomlinson publicly admitted that the incident bothered him. By October 2019, Tomlinson still wasn't ready to make peace. He told Metro, "At the moment, I am still pretty mad about the whole thing. I don't think he handled it very well. But never say never. Who knows? He chatted a lot of shit in the early days. I thought One Direction were pretty good." What's heartbreaking about all of this is that Tomlinson's mother's dying wish was for the guys to make things right. Because, as she once put it, quote, "Life is too short." All we can say is we hope the two are able to put all of this behind them one day. Before Tomlinson joined One Direction in 2010, he was just another aspiring musician trying out various bands. At one point early in his career, he became part of a group that he really loved. During an appearance on The Late Late Show with James Corden in October 2019, he noted that it was his first moment of singing and performing. All seemed to be going well until he was asked during a speaking and listening exam in English class to talk about something he was really fond of. Naturally, he chose to talk about the band.
Yeah, and this kid asked me a question. I can't remember exactly what the question was, but it ended in me realising that I'd just been kicked out of that band. And I didn't even know about it.
Talk about a humiliating experience. This incident might not be quite as tragic as others in Tomlinson's life, but it's still awful to lose something you love no matter what it is. But don't feel too bad for him, as it all worked out in the end. The lead guitarist, it turned out, was jealous and wanted all the glory for himself.
I had the last laugh, really, didn't I?
You certainly did. Wow. If you're a die-hard Directioner or just a fan of pop music, then you already know that Niall Horan landed a spot in the juggernaut boy band One Direction after competing on The X Factor. But there's more to this pop music crush turned solo artist than meets the eye. When he was just 5 years old, Niall Horan's parents divorced. But while most kids end up living with whichever parent is deemed best for them, Horan made the decision of who he would live with himself. Although he and his brother Greg initially split their time between their mom, Maura, and their dad, Bobby, they made the decision just a little later to live with their dad full time, according to the Daily Record.
Summers were spent kicking football around until the sun went down at 10 o'clock.
But Niall and his mom apparently still have a great relationship. Maura once said via the outlet, "It makes me very emotional seeing what he's doing. It really is changing his life. It's so huge. What else could a mother ask for her child? It's mind-blowing." Last weekend, he met the Obamas, so the child's mind must be blown with what he's getting to see and do. Even with all the success her son has experienced, Maura says fame hasn't changed him. She added, "He has a great head on his shoulders. He's very humble." While he was still a student, Horan unsurprisingly enjoyed his music classes, and during the annual Christmas Carol concert, he stood out as a clear star. According to Niall Horan, the unauthorized biography, the book revealed, with his cherubic face and sweet voice, he certainly looked and sounded the part of the classical choir boy. A teacher called Anne Caulfield first noted Niall's vocal ability.
There's pictures of me as a child, like, playing little play guitars and singing into microphones and kind of a bit of, I suppose, a little bit of a show off.
But Horan's teacher wasn't the only one who realised that he had some serious vocal talent. Apparently, while driving with his aunt when he was younger, Horan began singing a Garth Brooks song. His rendition was so impressive that his aunt thought she was hearing the radio. When she figured out it was actually Horan belting out the tune, she knew in that moment that he was going to become something special. According to the biography, Horan was just 16 years old when he first auditioned for the X Factor, going on to become part of One Direction.
I'm Niall Horan, I'm 16, and I'm from the Mullingar in the Midlands of Ireland.
But the jam-packed schedule that surely came along with his role in the boy band prevented him from experiencing a few things that normal kids get to do. He told J14, "I didn't even get to go to my prom." While that's certainly a little sad, it's not an uncommon occurrence for kids who get an early start in the industry. But it turns out it wasn't the only thing he missed out on. He also didn't finish school. Thankfully, he's been a massive success without the high school diploma, and has even proven his knack for teaching himself the things that he didn't pick up in class. Fans of One Direction know that Horan was the group's, quote, resident musician, as Bustle put it. They also added, he's played the guitar during some of their concerts and was even featured on some tracks on the group's album, Midnight Memories. But did you know that he taught himself to play guitar at just 12 years old? After picking up the instrument that his uninterested older brother got for Christmas, Horan soon got the hang of things. He became so adept that he even taught bandmate Harry Styles how to do a little strumming. And Horan could maybe also show Styles how to play the piano. After Horan took to social media to share a live video of himself tickling the ivories, a fan hopped onto Twitter to ask, "Niall, how do you manage to play this well on the piano? Did you teach yourself or take some lessons?" To that, Niall responded, "I've never had a lesson or actually know what chords I'm playing. I play a guitar chord and try and match up the notes wise to make the chord. Then my right hand plays a lot of the melodic stuff." Aside from his duties as a famous pop star, Horan has to deal with a health issue that affects people from all walks of life. He admitted back in 2018 while chatting with Nova FM's Kent Smallsy Small, "I struggle with the old acid reflux." As for what that means for the star, Medical News Today describes the issue as a common condition that features a burning pain known as heartburn in the lower chest area. It happens when stomach acid flows back up into the food pipe. But while that might be a painful annoyance for most people, it's something that causes real problems when it comes to Horan singing. He said, "Honestly, you're standing at the mic and obviously singing and opening your mouth and taking deep breaths allows the food to come up. So sometimes you just go burp all over the mic and it's not great." Things were actually so bad that the Irish Mirror reported that, quote, "acid reflux threatens to stall Niall's solo singing career." That's why in 2016 he sought treatment for the condition. Sharing a photo of himself with monitors stuck to his chest, Niall wrote, "Hooked up at the doc's office. Acid reflux is no joke." One thing that Horan's fans love about him is his blonde hair. Girlfriend magazine explained, each member of One Direction had their own unique thing. Zayn the broody one, Harry the adorable one, Louis the sassy one, Niall the blonde one. He was the only one in the band with these lighter locks, and he totally stood out because of it. But during an interview with the Zach Sang show in May 2017, the singer let the cat out the bag on his true hair color, pointing out that it takes around 3 hours to lighten his naturally brown hair each time he meets with the stylist. He added,
"It's just like
waste of time.
A pain in the ass. I started doing it when I was like 12 or 13.
Oh wow.
So 10 years is a long time putting that crap in your hair.
When Horan took a break from dyeing his hair and let his naturally brunette locks grow in, fans kind of lost it. Bustle reported, "People online are either in love with the new do or are lamenting the good old days when the band was performing together and Horan's hair was a bright white blonde." His hardcore blonde hair loving fans may have not been so impressed, but that hasn't stopped Horan from sticking with what he likes. You might assume that Horan's got a bunch of other boy bands on his playlist, and just as many girl groups. While that may indeed be the case, it's also just as likely that he's listening to a little classic rock or a crooner-style tune. A fan of both the Eagles and Michael Bublé, Horan has shown up at a concert for the former, along with Harry Styles, and is known to praise the latter. Horan even revealed during an Ask Anything chat that if you listen closely, you'll recognize the Eagles' influence on his solo album, Flicker.
I would say either the Eagles or Fleetwood Mac. You can hear Fleetwood in a couple of songs and you can hear the Eagles as well.
Bublé once spoke about the boys of One Direction, telling the entertainment.ie site, "Horan's a great kid. We talk a lot. Him and Liam Payne are the two boys I chat with, and it's actually really refreshing to see young guys like that get success and for them not to be It's probably a testament to where he comes from and his family." In turn, Horan told ET Canada in 2017 of the singer,
"The greatest man. I want to grow up to be Michael Bublé."
It's official, Niall Horan is a belieber. That's right, the former One Direction singer is a fan of the fellow pop star Justin Bieber, and he certainly isn't afraid to let everyone know it. Horan even tweeted praise for Bieber's music in 2012, with Billboard noting that the singer, quote, playfully parodied Niall Horan's album cover on Instagram. While that might make it seem like the two stars are always in a light-hearted mood when it comes to their friendship, it turns out that the Irish performer actually feels bad for his Canadian counterpart. Horan told Glamour UK,
Like, I watched Justin Bieber's new docuseries. People didn't realise the pressure that he was under. I can relate to that 100%.
explaining that the members of One Direction had each other to lean on when the pressure got to be too much. Horan noted that Bieber didn't have that type of situation. He added,
I always felt sorry for Justin in that respect.
when Horan isn't busy making music, he can likely be found enjoying himself on the links. He told Virgin Radio Dubai, I'm a sports fan in general, and I watch a lot of sports, and when I was 12 or 13, I joined my local golf club and fell in love with golf then. According to a 2019 profile for Today's Golfer, Horan is apparently the, quote, future of golf. That's because he doesn't just play the sport for fun, but he's also the co-founder of Modest Golf Management, which he launched in 2016. He told the outlet, having the love for golf that I do was the reason I wanted to set up the company in the first place. And here we are 3 years later with some of the most influential people in golf. But fans can rest assured that he won't be giving up the stage for the green. According to the Brampton Guardian, at least not anytime soon.
Not that I'm the greatest golfer ever, but I love the game and I would like more people to get into it.
Horan may be famous thanks to his pop song-worthy singing voice, but that's not the only vocal skill he possesses. Also adored for his unmistakable Irish accent. He just so happens to be able to pull off a range of accents from different cultures.
Oh my god, I love Temple Bar. I go there for a Guinness, even though it costs $11.
The star showed off his vocal skills while sitting down for a rather unusual chat with Jimmy Fallon in 2019. At the host's request, Horan performed a lively reading of a classic holiday story, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, but with different accents that would pop up on the screen in front of him.
Not a creature was stirring. Not even a wee little moose.
Luckily, the singer was up to the task, hitting up Scottish, Russian, Spanish, French, Brooklyn, and Australian dialects. He basically nailed the game and wowed his fans.
It was frickin' Santa Claus!
It's known that Horan is not fond of small, enclosed spaces thanks to his claustrophobia.
In my life, people get too close and stuff, I'm like, ah.
But not as many know he also happens to hate birds, specifically pigeons. Yes, really. He told The Sun, I can't stand them after one once flew in through my bathroom window and went for me while I was having a wee. That was enough. I think pigeons target me. He even revealed that when it comes to performing, I get really nervous if pigeons are flying around before shows. However, Horan was willing to face his feathered fear during a March 2020 installment of James Corden's Carpool Karaoke.
I think they're horrible. I don't like the fact that they're not scared of us until you get really close to them. People have to run at a flock of pigeons and to make them move.
For the sake of some good fun, Corden thought it might help if Horan held one of the flighty creatures, and also have one placed on his shoulder and on his head. While Horan met the challenge, he was wary of one of the birds doing its business on him, which is totally understandable.
I just had
I can't be
pigeons,
responsible.
and one of them pooed on me.
I can't be responsible for their actions.
Thanks to Horan's time in One Direction, he earned a massive fortune when he was just barely out of his teens. According to the Celebrity Net Worth, between June 2013 and June 2014, the group generated $75 million in revenue, and the next year brought in an additional $130 million. Beyond that, the band's Where We Are tour was the second highest grossing tour ever when it comes to comparable groups, thanks to the fact that it took in a whopping $282 million. However, Horan may want to think about investing his fortune. A source told the Irish Mirror in 2018, he's simply spending a lot more than he makes. He could end up with nothing if he's not careful. Niall is not making anything near the money he was enjoying in 1D, but he's still spending a fortune.
This place is going to be electric tomorrow night.
Noting that the singer and sports entrepreneur has lofty goals for both his golf-related endeavors and solo music career. Regarding Niall's solo career, the insider pointed out, it comes with a huge financial burden, and in terms of his solo career, he hasn't had that one big solo hit that any former boy band member needs to move on from their past life in the band. It looks like Horan may need to be a little smarter with his fortune until he hits his next big payday.
Millions of fans were heartbroken when One Direction confirmed their hiatus in August 2015. What made them call it quits? Here's the lowdown on why One Direction broke up. When Zayn Malik left the group, it was evidently quite abrupt. According to his former bandmate Liam Payne, Malik left One Direction right in the middle of a tour in March 2015. In a statement, Malik announced, "My life with One Direction has been more than I could ever have imagined, but after 5 years, I feel like it is now the right time for me to leave the band. I'd like to apologize to the fans if I've let anyone down, but I have to do what feels right in my heart. I am leaving because I want to be a normal 22-year-old who is able to relax and have some private time out of the spotlight." Even in 2019, Harry Styles still didn't sound too pleased with this development.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. You know?
Malik announced his exit just days after he was photographed canoodling with a woman who wasn't his then-fiancé, Little Mix singer Perry Edwards. But the woman in question, Love Island's Lauren Richardson, said that nothing romantic happened between them. Days later, another woman told the Daily Mail that she hooked up with Malik in Thailand, a claim that he vehemently denied. Although Malik didn't cite the accusations as his reason for leaving the band, sources told People magazine that he couldn't handle the intense scrutiny that came with stardom. Part of One Direction's appeal was the fact that they seemed so tight, but perhaps they weren't really all that close in real life. Were all the good times just for the camera? In 2019, Liam Payne told GQ Hype, "Zayn didn't even say goodbye if I'm being honest. It was a really sordid scenario, from our side certainly. A bit strange. It's difficult." In 2016, Malik told Billboard, "I had every intention of remaining friends with everybody, but I guess certain phone numbers have changed, and I haven't received calls from a lot of people. I've reached out to a few of them and not got a reply. Certain people have pride issues, but it's stuff you overcome in time." But he contradicted himself 2 years later, telling GQ, "I didn't really make any friends from the band. I just didn't do it. It's not something that I'm afraid to say. I definitely have issues trusting people." Payne opened up further about tensions within the band during his interview with GQ Hype. "We had our differences throughout the whole experience with some things. I still think about some stuff that was said and done that now I would do differently, but then that's all part of growing up. Being in One Direction was such a schoolyard mentality somehow. The One Direction University, I call it." Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson reportedly had one of One Direction's biggest in-band beefs. The boys were seemingly super close after the X Factor, and they even lived together in the early days of the band. But something evidently went wrong sometime around 2012, at least if The Sun can be believed. A supposed insider told the tabloid, "Apart from Harry and Louis, no one knows exactly what caused the falling out, but it was very serious and their friendship has never recovered. Everyone involved in the band is well aware of the animosity between them. It's been central to everything else that came next with the band because there was suddenly a massive divide." According to this shadowy source, their alleged distaste for one another even impacted how the band got around, because Styles refused to travel on the same jet with Tomlinson. As the source put it, Harry insisted there were always two modes of transport, even when it came to private jets. The official reason given was that Harry didn't like the fact Louis, Liam, and Zayn smoked on board, but it was something much more personal. For the making of their last 3 albums, they never spent any time together in the studio as a band. Of course, this is The Sun we're talking about here, so we'd take all of this with a grain of salt. Did creative differences have anything to do with One Direction's split? Shortly after Zayn Malik left the project in 2015, he told Fader, "I wasn't 100% behind the music. It wasn't me. It was music that was already given to us, and we were told this is what is going to sell to these people. As much as we were the biggest, most famous boy band in the world, it felt weird. We were told to be happy about something that we weren't happy about." Malik also told Billboard in 2016, "The other boys' taste was generally indie rock. It's good music, but I don't with it. That was never cool where I was from." The band's divergent musical tastes are pretty clear when you take a look at their solo efforts. Harry Styles went the dad rock route with the epic Sign of the Times, telling Rolling Stone, "I didn't want to write stories. I wanted to write my stories, things that happened to me. The number one thing was I wanted to be honest. I hadn't done that before."
I've always found writing to be really therapeutic, and when I sit down to write a song, I don't usually think about it coming out.
Meanwhile, Niall Horan had a massive radio hit with the bluesy Slow Hands. Liam Payne went for a hip-hop pop vibe with Strip That Down, and Louis Tomlinson opted for straightforward pop with solo efforts like Miss You. So just how angry was Louis Tomlinson when One Direction called it quits? As he told the Lincoln Journal-Star in January 2020, "I was fuming at first. I thought I'd mentally prepared myself for a break, but it hit me hard. About a week after, I sat there thinking, strike while the iron's hot, but I wasn't ready. I was bitter and angry. I didn't know why we couldn't just carry on." In the same interview, he reveals that he would have been fine with a hiatus, but not a permanent breakup. And he may have inadvertently admitted that he considered One Direction to be more of a business venture than an artistic enterprise. He told the newspaper, "I'm sure there's a better analogy out there, but it's a bit like shutting down Coca-Cola. You don't say, right, let's hang the boots up on that, because it's a massive thing. And it sounds like some bad blood might stand in the way of One Direction getting back together, at least for now." In a 2019 interview with The Zach Sang Show, Tomlinson said he wasn't quite ready to reconnect with Zayn Malik.
I don't think me or him are mature enough yet to have that conversation. No, I'm not ready to have that chat yet.
In October 2019, Niall Horan told The Telegraph that there was never any major infighting within the ranks, claiming that, "I can never really remember any major bust-ups, just brotherly family nagging. Arguments like that. Well, we were gonna end up killing each other. We all sat down one day, had a chat, and it was like, we need to take a break, step back, chill out, and try something new." But it sounds like Horan wishes there'd been a clear timeline regarding exactly how much of a break they were going to take. As he puts it, "I would have preferred if someone said the break would last 5 years, and it probably will end up something like that. Way to get our hopes up." The members of One Direction worked hard, and some of them played hard too. Harry Styles has openly discussed his feelings about controlled substances.
If you're taking anything to like have fun and be creative, then great.
Meanwhile, insiders claimed that Liam Payne's drinking had gotten a bit out of hand, which he confirmed in an interview with Attitude magazine in 2015, explaining that, "I started drinking a lot and I began to get a bit tubbier. In fact, because of that, I was getting fat jibes all the time, which hurt me. I'm not afraid to say I went through a pretty bad stage. And for that time in my life, that was perfect for me. That's what I wanted to do, and so I enjoyed myself." He went on to say that, "There were just a few times that I went over the limit with things and then I had to pull it back. I was very fortunate that I had lots of great people around me who said to me, 'Look, Liam, you need to chill out a bit now.'" Tensions within the band reportedly escalated in 2015 after footage leaked of Louis Tomlinson and Zayn Malik smoking what looked like a joint, which had some unexpected consequences down the line. In 2015, The Guardian reported, the Philippines Bureau of Immigration requested that Malik and Tomlinson post bonds worth roughly $5,000 ahead of a gig in Manila. They will forfeit the bond if they are caught using or promoting the use of illegal drugs during their visit. The Sun reported that the drug use caused division within the band. Harry would no longer go out with his bandmates to social events, unless hanging out with Irishman Niall, One Direction's unofficial peacekeeper. In late 2018, Zayn Malik told Vogue that he'd had a hard time adjusting to the band's success. He explained that, "We went from theaters to arenas to stadiums. There was never any sort of bridge between. Just boom, boom, boom. I guess that kind of progression to any mind, but especially when you're 17, 18, it kind of affects you a little bit." He's since opened up about his struggles with anxiety, which have also affected his solo efforts, leading him to cancel a number of live performances.
I'm not like a very outgoing, social person, like in terms of big groups of people.
Meanwhile, Liam Payne told Men's Health Australia in June 2019 that he almost never felt in control when he was in One Direction, claiming that, "It's difficult when you have the level of fame that we had in the band. There have been a lot of people in trouble with mental health that aren't really getting the help that they need. And I think that's a bit of a problem in our industry." He went on to say, "You know what the traps are, and if you were lucky enough, like me, to be able to get out of that scenario and back into a sense of normality, then you know it's a bit different." During the height of their popularity, the members of One Direction had a seriously grueling touring schedule. In November 2015, Harry Styles told Entertainment Tonight that he was looking forward to traveling during the band's break, explaining that, "We've been, of course, incredibly fortunate to travel a lot of the world, and I think one of the cool things about that is we haven't necessarily spent a lot of time in each place. You see places you want to go back to and think, I want to come back here for 2 weeks instead of 2 days and experience some more of it." Meanwhile, Niall Horan assured Entertainment Weekly, "We're not breaking up. We're literally taking time out to see our friends and see our family and reflect on what we've done over the last few years." Elsewhere in that interview, Louis Tomlinson admitted, "I'm looking forward to feeling no pressure and to just enjoy life, like not having plans and not having responsibility." By January 2016, a source told Us Weekly that the band's break would be permanent, claiming that the 1D thing just ran its course. They'll remain friends, but they are exhausted and want solo careers. Styles confirmed as much to Rolling Stone in 2017, saying that, "I didn't want to exhaust our fan base. If you're short-sighted, you can think, let's just keep touring. But we all thought too much of the group than to let that happen. You realize you're exhausted, and you don't want to drain people's belief in you." Meanwhile, it seems like Styles genuinely believed in what One Direction was doing.
Did you like the music you were playing?
Yeah, I did.
The whole time?
I did.
All the way to the end?
All the way to the end.
About 24 hours after the tragic death of One Direction singer Liam Payne, Argentinian officials have confirmed the official cause of death. Fair warning, it's disturbing. Per E-Online, local authorities determined that the official cause of Payne's passing was something called polytraumatism, which essentially means there were multiple traumatic injuries that contributed to his death. The report also noted that internal and external hemorrhaging were significant factors. When first responders encountered the scene, it was initially determined that resuscitation was not viable. According to authorities in Argentina, the injuries were so severe that the team could do absolutely nothing. Payne was pronounced dead at the scene, shocking fans across the world. With the toxicology report still pending, it's possible that there's still more to know about how the singer ended up falling from his hotel balcony. The report further explained the head injuries were sufficient to cause death, while the internal and external hemorrhages in the skull, thorax, abdomen, and limbs contributed to the mechanism of death. According to the autopsy release, there was no evidence of defensive wounds. This means Payne essentially fell of his own accord, but the toxicology report has yet to be finalized. So we don't have the full picture. However, E-Online notes that first responders claim to have found a series of substances that were then taken for processing from his room. Payne had struggled with substance abuse disorder in the past and had gotten sober as recently as 2023. Though he was not mentioned by name, there was a call made to a Buenos Aires emergency line from the hotel shortly before the tragic event. In the call, a staff member was asking for assistance for, quote, a guest who was under the influence of drugs and alcohol and who had destroyed some objects in the room. The caller goes on to state that the person in question did have a room with a balcony, and there was concern about their safety. Payne and his girlfriend Kate Cassidy had been in Argentina since early October, stopping by to watch fellow One Directioner Niall Horan perform. However, at the time of Payne's passing, Cassidy had already flown back to the USA, meaning Payne was alone at the time of his death. Posting on Snapchat about seeing his old bandmate, Payne stated,
"It's been a while since me and Niall have spoken. We've got a lot to talk about."
He went on to say,
"And I would like to square up a couple things with the boy. No bad vibes or nothing like that."
It's no secret that Payne has had several fallouts with One Direction bandmates, although he said that the boys had stuck by him in a video posted to his YouTube channel.
The rest of the boys have really stuck by me, and when I needed them most, they, kind of came to the rescue.
Payne was a young father to his son Bear, and leaves behind his son's mother, Cheryl Cole, his parents, and his sisters. The entire family is asking for space to process and grieve during this time. In a statement provided to the BBC, the family said, "Liam will forever live in our hearts, and we'll remember him for his kind, funny, and brave soul. We are supporting each other the best we can as a family, and ask for privacy and space at this awful time." Payne's ex-bandmates also recently shared a statement which reads, "We're completely devastated by the news of Liam's passing. In time, and when everyone is able to, there will be more to say. But for now, we will take some time to grieve and process the loss of our brother, who we loved dearly. The memories we shared with him will be treasured forever." They ended the statement by writing, "For now, our thoughts are with his family, his friends, and the fans who loved him alongside us. We will miss him terribly. We love you, Liam.